I really, really want Jackson Pomney to actually hug at least once before the series ends. You know, that's like a pretty common want. I want everybody to be happy and friends and the piece of media I like. Gooseworx has other plans. Smile. Goose, tweeted at 7 in the goddamn morning. Goose, what does this mean? Hey fellas, Otis here, and welcome back to With a Y. And I'm gonna try and tone it down from the dramatics from that intro, but like this tweet got me thinking like pretty hard, probably harder than my brain was ever designed to function. The hug that would be given as one holding the other's dying and or already dead corpse in their arms in like some kind of Greek tragedy. Whatever, pick your flavor of Renaissance art. But the thing that like really took me off guard was that the day after Goose deigned to smile at the audience, Glitch was like, okay, time to post a teaser, and dude, look at this fucking image. It's Kane on the stage. I think it's the same one as like the Digital Circus Awards took place on. And a lot of people have pointed this out, but for the first time ever, we are seeing him like with his 2 feet on the ground. Like, sure, we've seen Kane get tactile, like he sat on a normal chair, leaned back on a lawn chair before, getting the tan on his teeth. Is his teeth getting yellower, him getting a tan, or does that just mean he doesn't brush his shit? Regardless, it's a pretty striking visual, like even out of context, but within the context of the show, there's a lot going on. David Toons, friend of the channel, just added the impact font man caption because like that was probably a lot of people's first thought. He just beat them on the trigger pull, get fucked. But like, what's the context of the scene? Is he actually speaking to an audience, or is he like rehearsing to nobody? He looks glum about something, man, like in that little Willy Wonka hat with the curl it has even seems a little sad about the whole thing. Full spoilers for Digital Circus, I feel like that goes without saying if you're on a video like this, but the last episode ended with what little trust existed between like the humans he sees over getting broken. And now he's like, I have to make my apology video, I'm pulling out the ukulele, I'm sorry for tricking you into thinking that you could escape the game. Shadow the Hedgehog would have sent you to Shrip Town. Important context is that like the option Jax chose in like a manic fury was the one that he wanted them to pick and that he ultimately thought they would. He just didn't expect them to be so pissed about it at the end. It like was low-key a uniting factor between all of them that like, wait, this was all a ruse? It almost made them forget that Jax chose to keep them all stuck in the circus on a fucking hunch. I have made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. Guys, I promise that I can't control your brains like manually, but I can through old school psychological manipulation. I'm sorry this happened to you. We'll get into community reactions in a bit, but like seeing this visual just really made me realize like, holy shit, we are in the Endgame now. As primarily a Deltarune fan, there's such a long wait between content drops, and given there's like way more going on in like a multi-hour long video game experience with tons of optional content in it and like little dialogue and things to tie together than Digital Circus has. But anything that has like an episodic launch where like each new one is hotly anticipated, it feels like it's coming at me fast, man. Like we're probably gonna see the trailer for episode 8 in like, I would give it like a week max if they're already starting the press junket rollout for this. And after the episode 8 comes out, it's the finale, and then we're done. We just have to like sit with whatever emotions we're given from the show. Deltarune is an experience taken over the course of you growing up. Like the series ending is like something I don't envision myself experiencing till I'm like fucking 30 or some shit, or close to it. I'll definitely be pushing that number. That said, keeping within the Deltarune lens, like it's very theory craft heavy, and I think with good reason, partially by nature of being like an animated serialized show. Digital Circus is just like a different type of media, not like worse by any means. I think it's just telling a much more linear story. Like I come back to this tweet of Gooseworx saying that like a thing or a detail that a lot of people had theorized or agonized over was something that was just included as a funny bit. You had League My Balls begging for a teaser after that Gooseworx tweet had gone out, and then they like manifested it for real, and obviously you can tell by the replies that everybody is just kind of in shambles at the moment. It had people showing fan art of theirs where a thing they theorized would happen, Kane finally comes down to earth, all the symbolism that comes with that, like, oh, his toes are on the ground, man, 10 toes down, he's quote standing on business. And the fun with like these episodic series is like where even if I think that Digital Circus is going somewhere much more direct and has a final destination than like a thing like Deltarune has, where we're not even sure if there's going to be one ending, even though like it explicitly tells us that, the same speculation can be made about like what the hell is the context of this scene. I fucking love this post. Acting like a victim after you tore that shit up. Bro, you You did this to us. You did this to yourself. You put us through purgatory. Daily reminder that Kane's most demanding line has yet to be seen, so we are cooked in episode 8. I do really enjoy when fandoms for like episodic series talk about the new content drop, the thing that, you know, theoretically they're looking forward to. And when this person says most demanding line yet, they're talking about like literally the places the voice actor Alex Roken had to go in order to be able to perform the way they did for the line. They clarify this in the replies. I was a little confused the first time I read this, but it had 3,000 likes, so I had to fucking alt-tab it for something. Yeah, speaking of fandoms talking about the new drop coming, like they're on an apocalypse cult. What being on Digital Circus Twit feels like right now. Side note, I remember seeing this scene from Toy Story 3 in theaters as a kid and like just feeling my heart pound in my chest in a way that I had never experienced before. Truly, theaters must live long. I will mourn if they do go away. Me when, oh my god, it's the fucking guy who does the Digital Circus 3D animations almost exactly in the style of the show that makes me think like, did I miss an episode? Every now and then, we do have to keep it a little light because we are getting into like doomsday prepper territory with the way we're talking about how episode 8 is gonna go, which I have a feeling we're gonna be right and it's gonna leave us even more anxious by the end of the episode, because there's a lot to wrap up in that finale. So here's a joke. Wait, hold on. What if he's going to sing? Guys, he's actually just doing a talent show. The status quo will get restored in episode 8 and we can go back on to having funny adventures. I'll say a lot of my early predictions for the show. I think it was like after episode 3 or 4, where I was like making guesses as to what the structure of the rest of the show is gonna be like, have proven incredibly wrong. And not in like a bad way. It's actually more fun like when I think like, oh, I decided to flex a media literacy muscle, never doing that again. Instead, I will be surprised by the media and shocked and enjoy what it has given me. I recently finished reading the Invincible comics, and a thing I heard said about what makes that world unique is that everything changes all the time. There's no like real status quo to return to, like there are in other comic book universes. Like DC and Marvel have a problem with never letting characters die, like they bring them back, because there's like an overarching canon that doesn't have to do with like any individual stories, but more about like marketing reasons, that you can't buck the status quo for too long. Invincible, like they change so much of what is happening in the world, big shit happens all the time, and it always gets built on top of. I think Digital Circus has a little bit of that going on. I wouldn't say to the extremes that Invincible has, where the coalitions and the relationships between what characters are on whose side change rapidly from like issue to issue, arc to arc, but it stopped being like an episodic fun adventure where every character in the cast will get their due pretty early on. There was like that controversy a week ago where Gooseworx deleted their Reddit account because people who have a favorite character from their show wanted that character to have more screen time, but the show is written with two main characters in mind, Jackson Pomni, and as these episodes we've gotten recently have shown, it's going to focus more and more on the relationships that these two have over all else. And you can argue that it was creating a formula where every character was going to have an instance that they get explored in depth, like each episode gives them equal billing with Pomni as the mainstay. I don't really care to re-arbitrate the controversy part of it. I really only care to talk about the show's writing with this in mind. But I think it's fun that like each character continues to get developed. Things that they were shown to have as part of their person don't just go away because the focus is centering on the two main characters. But it does become like a more focused story like the farther in we get, you know? Another interpretation of what the fuck Kane is doing over here, just like aura farming. How to be cool and mysterious, a tutorial. I need to check this shit out because I am terrible at that. 15 bucks, he's gonna hang himself on stage. The goddamn Steve Harvey Tenna meme, dude. If you get the answer to this question wrong, I'm gonna kill myself in front of you. Usually all the memes that do that, though, use a gun. Though it does get back to the old tradition of, like, going to the gallows and having to pay to see someone be publicly hanged, so maybe it's a throwback in that way. More speculation based on, like, comments made by people on the team. Goose did say writing this episode was self-indulgent. I fear to find out what she meant. Once again, fear for the future, despite us theoretically really being excited for the episode to drop, man. That is kind of the duality of being in any fandom, like where something feels doomed, or you have a cliffhanger that like spells out doom. It's like, Jesus Christ, I need to know what happens next, but fuck, you're making me wait for what happens next, and I fear that what will be inside of Pandora's box is worse than the anxiety I was living with. When you fart loud as fuck, this is canon. This is basically someone from the writer's room who knew exactly what was gonna happen in the episode. Case is closed, problem solved, we figured it all out, people. lol. I immediately thought of this when I saw it, and I imagine for some people who have been around long enough to know what this image is referencing, it's not a completely separate feeling. You know what this feels like to me? It looks like the thumbnail for the Humble music video by Kendrick Lamar. Only 1 bill in 8 years, man. Fucking flop. Why did you think the song was ever gonna do well? It is weird how long of a staple of the internet and just kind of culture in general in certain parts, like the digital circus has been. Bootleg plushies showing up on like random tourist walks and shit like that, and we are so close to it being over. Like, I think there's a good chance the entire thing wraps up before the summer is over. Like, there's a universe where digital circus fucking ends before Deltarune Chapter 5 comes out. And that's crazy to me because that means there is going to be like a refugee crisis of fanatical theory heads like jumping ship to the most adjacent property. Like, there are a lot of digital circus tweets you'll see made by people who get a bunch of likes on those, but they have a Susie Deltarune profile picture. Anyways, I got my 10 minutes at this bitch. Mid-rolls are everywhere. I'm looking forward to this episode as much as the next guy. Let me know what you guys think of my epic commentary on here and all the speculation I did. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at @withAY. Emails in the description if you guys want to send me any video topics. Anyways, piss off.